Welcome to my TBR video for September where I show you how much arm muscle strength I've gotten over the summer. And welcome to September. Today we are going to be doing a double readathon TBR for two of my very favorite and very first readathons that I have ever taken part in for the entire year. The two readathons that I will be taking part in this month are Becca's Bookopoly or Becca's Bookopolathon and Magical Readathon hosted by G. And I am so excited to tell you guys about my TBR. It is very hefty. A few disclaimers, it is about to start storming here, so I'm not sure if I can film this all in one session, but I'm really hoping that I can. And I also have not filmed anything in a while. My voice is very hoarse today, so I'm very sorry if my voice just cracks in the middle of a TBR like it just did. I have my largest TBR pile of actual physical books, so bear with me while I'm like grasping around my bookshelf for them. It's also almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit right now, so while I am dressed as though it is the September of my dreams, I'm sorry if you can hear the fan in the background that is keeping me from sweating to death on this September video. I think that's all of my disclaimers. Taking part in Becca's Bookopoly, I made a board, which essentially I just took little cardboard cutouts in the colors, and let's see if you can see them. I'm pretty sure this is the wrong way, but it's fine. So I just essentially drew the prompts onto the colors, and then Noah and I just used regular tokens from Monopoly. I wanted to go around the board one time or 5 rolls. So if I made it around the board and had less than 5 rolls, I would keep rolling to 5, and that was it. For these books, I don't think I have any overlaps this readathon, so I obviously will probably not read all of these books, but I'm very excited to try, and I'm very excited that some of these books are books that haven't been on my TBR this year yet, which means that I'm actually making progress. So that is great. I read over 1,000 pages in August, so that is great for me, and I only have 1 August book left and 1 July book. I roll with my brother on Discord video chat for our TBR list in advance, so I already have my rolls, but I wrote down like what I rolled and what I landed on and things like that in as much detail as I could. Oh my god. Okay. Thank you to Pamela Reef, who has not sponsored me, but who has taught my muscles how to hold this many books without dying. Okay, if I wasn't sweating before getting all of those books, I'm definitely sweating now. For Bookopoly, you have 16 chance cards and 16 community shelf cards. So for the community shelf, if I'm saying this not backwards, we picked 16 different prompts. So they were 8 things that were good. Things like getting to read a book club book or catching up on an arc. And then the lowest ones were having, like we would call a family member on that call and give them 3 books and let them pick, and things like that. So the chance cards, then I did 8 books that I really wanted to read and 8 books that I knew I really needed to get to. So I think I did like 8 sequels and 8 arcs sort of thing. So I'm very excited because there's 1 buddy read I think left for the year before I started September that I had not finished yet, or that I had not started. And so I put that one on there, and I rolled chance on my first pick, and I picked the chance card for Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. This isn't technically a buddy read because I'm reading it with my best friend Natasha in their Serpent and Dove read along, but she is starting the first book and I am reading the sequel. I started the sequel already, so I'm a little bit of the ways in, and I was very confused because I read the first book in May of last year, so it took me a couple of chapters to be like, who is Bo? How are they all related? It was a time. Yeah, I don't like describing sequels on my channel because I will probably spoil something on accident, and also, like I said, I read the first book in May, so I don't really know anything that's happening. I just know that I need to get through this quickly because I already have the 3rd book waiting on the shelf above me, to get started on, and I will take a month, but it would be really fun to read that one in November just because it's still spooky season and these kind of gives me spooky vibes. But I'm very, very excited to read this, and I'm so excited that it was my first roll. Like, honestly, the best luck. So then I rolled 5 and I landed on mood read. So for this one, I'm not a mood reader in any way, shape, or form, and I just picked a book that needed to be on my TBR list that wouldn't fit anywhere else. I don't know that that classifies as a mood read, but I am a type 3 ENFJ, so we don't really do mood reads here. So I will be reading Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and thank you to Margaret K. McElderry Books for an arc of Vespertine. I am so excited. I am doing this on a tour with, I want to say Turn the Page Tours, but I'm so excited to be taking part in this. It will be an arc. I think I'm also getting a copy in the mail, but I think that is either closer to the tour or after the publishing date. So for this month, I think I will just be reading it as an ebook. I honestly don't know what it's about. I requested it like early in the spring and didn't get the arc, so I never read the synopsis because I didn't pre-order it yet. So I have no idea what it's about. So for this mood read prompt, I hope I am in the mood for whatever this book is about. But it has a beautiful cover. And I think it's young adult fantasy, but that could be wrong too. I think it's definitely young adult at least. I rolled again. I rolled a 3 on roll 3 and I landed on colors. For this one, I really wanted to do 6 Crimson Cranes, but unfortunately I already went a little over my book budget this month, so we will not be doing that purchase, but I will be reading instead White Cat by Holly Black. It is a very red season this month, so I don't know what color you guys associate with September, if you like associate colors with months. So please tell me what color you associate September with, because so far I'm just wearing so much red and I don't know if that's what I should be doing aesthetically wise, but I'm enjoying it and I'm enjoying my red books, so it's working out. I know that Holly Black wrote the Cruel Prince trilogy, or the Folk of the Air trilogy, and I know all about that series and I really liked it and I want to read the novellas. I know nothing about this series. I am like 97.8% sure that it's the same author. And I don't know, like, can he shapeshift into this cat? Is this cat like his familiar? I have no idea, but I hope it's good. I think it came out before The Cruel Prince. I've never heard anyone talk about it really, so I will try to start these in order, but like if I start White Cat and finish it before Blood and Honey, then I'll go on to the next one. For roll 4, I rolled an 8 and I landed on Opulent. So for this one, I will be reading Faye Away by Rose Garcia. I have been trying to read this book since June and it is an arc. Thank you so much to Rose Garcia for a copy of this book. I know that it is about a Fae princess and she lives in a royal palace, so that's how it counts for Opulent, and I believe she falls in love with the humans, and that's what I've been telling you guys for the past 3 months. That's all I still know, but I really, really need to get to that book. It's the oldest book on my NetGalley arc list, so really excited to get that. For roll 5, I rolled a 2, so that was a double, and I landed on Time of Day. So for this one, I will be reading Dark and Shallow Lies by Ginny Myers Sain. I didn't have time to write the publishers for these books down, so thank you to the publisher for an arc of that book. That is an ebook that I have through Edelweiss, and that is the oldest book that I have on my Edelweiss list. So I'm very excited to have managed to put both of my 2 oldest arcs on there, not counting my Bookish First arcs. We're not going to talk about that right now. So I know from reading the excerpt of Dark and Shallow Lies on Bookish First actually that it is some sort of like thriller mystery with supernatural vibes. I think it's set in a modern timeline, but I think that like it's about these kids that were born on like the same day or the same week. There's something special about their birth time, and they're all sort of connected, and one of them died. So they're all kind of like coming back to town to go to her funeral, and I think some of them want to figure out like how she died and stuff like that. and I think one of them is like clairvoyant. They have different like interesting abilities, I think, or at least some of them do. It sounded very interesting and the cover is very beautiful, so we'll see. If you guys came here to hear about books today, then we all are not going to be doing that. So for my double, I rolled a 5. So for this one, it was Feed Scroll, and the prompt for that is to go on Goodreads. Well, for me, it's Goodreads. And the first book that is on my feed that's on my TBR list, or is a book that I own, I have to read that one. So thank you to the lovely Bailey, who happened to be starting reading People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. And this book was on my TBR list since, I want to say, this spring. And I know absolutely nothing about this book. I'm not sure how it ended up on my TBR of over 1,300 books, I think. But it's really nice. I really like orange as a color. I feel like this has nice autumn vibes, even though they clearly appear to be on like a summer vacation. So also, like, the last time I could read this and have it still be summer technically. So I'm excited to read this, and thank you to Michael for Impulse getting me this on Amazon so that I could have it for this TBR video. I think Bailey really liked this book. I'm not 100% sure because I'm very behind on everyone's videos, but I'm really excited, and I think she said that she's excited for me to read it because I never read fantasy, that's bold-faced lie. I never read romances, and so I pretty much only read them when Bailey convinces me to. So that was my 5th roll, and I still had to go around the board with one more roll because I kept getting little rolls. So finally I rolled a 6 and finished my Bookopoly TBR by lowest rated book on my TBR. As I said, I have like 1,300 books there, so I did go through and remove quite a few books that I was like, I don't know why this is on my TBR. And then I finally got to one, and I got this from the library because if it's lowest rated, I'm assuming it will be trash. But it was rated like 3.3, I think. It's Crossing the Line by Simone Elkeles? Simone Elkeles? I don't know how to say this. But in high school, I read the Perfect Chemistry trilogy, and I think that was one of my like first romance trilogy or romance series. I loved it. I was a sucker for all of them. I think I gave them all like 5 stars. And apparently I was like, oh, I have to read her next book. But that was like high school. That was a decade ago. So I may feel very differently about her writing now, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure why this is rated so poorly. I have no idea what it's about, except I don't know. I think he might like be running away from like his uncle or his father. I think I read that like vaguely in the first sentence of the synopsis, but that's all that I am prepared for. That is it for my Bookopoly TBR. The next one is Aurelium, which is the magical readathon. It has now been revamped for this year. G put so much work into this, like the illustrations, the prompts, the lore. It's amazing. It seems like we're doing it on an established series. So that's incredible, and I'm so excited to take part. There are 2 separate parts of the readathon this year. There are 7 prompts to journey to Aurelium Academy, and then there are 3 prompts to create your character. And there are so many ways to customize this, but the 7 prompts, you have to read 2 of them by the end of September of 2021 in order to survive your journey to Aurelium Academy. And the 3 prompts to create your character, you don't have to finish until, I think it's by April 2022. So like by the end of March next year. So I will be going over those 3 prompts with you guys, as well as the 7 prompts, because I picked a book for each one, and then I guess I will sort of mood read or poll to see what 2 I do at least. I could have overlapped books from Bookopoly, so like worst case scenario, I will not fail this readathon. But I would love to read as many of these as possible. And then the 3 at the end, I'm actually starting one of them tomorrow. So one will be a September book. I will do the character creation ones first so you know what character is going on the journey. Okay, so the first one is like the environment that your character grew up in. And my character is a wildling, which means that they grew up just like not in a city. And so the prompt was to read a book that is set in the forest or outside. So for this one, I picked The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan, which is book 2 in the Wheel of Time series. And this I am reading for the Wheel of Time along. I am over 300 pages into into The Eye of the World. It's only like a third of the book. So we will be reading that in September as well, I believe. So this will probably be an October book, but it does fit the prompt, and I will definitely, ideally be reading this before April of 2022. So I guess finishing it by April will be a different story. But my character is from the location of Eartheria. So I have to read a book that has Fae or Elven characters. So I will be reading A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova that I am doing as a buddy read with my friend Laura, and I am so excited because we have never done a buddy read before, and she's already halfway through the book as of right before I started filming this video. So she clearly is more ambitious than me. I think she's a type 3 too, actually, so that makes a lot of sense. She is a much faster reader than me, and I adore her. So I'm so excited to be doing this buddy read, and I will hopefully be starting that one tomorrow morning. I've heard that it's a Hades and Persephone retelling, but if not, it's just a similar story where the girl is basically taken to marry the Elf King. I think she's human, but I'm not sure about that, and that's the entirety of what I know about that series. That is also a book club read with the Atlantis Book Club. Finally, my character is an Earthling, which is a species that can control like one element per person. I'm either calling this character Morella or Alessandra. I personally, if I could control one, would do air or water, but I was kind of vibing with fire or water for this fictional character that I have made for this readathon. So I'm kind of basing it off of my like 2 sessions of D&D. That prompt is to read a book with elemental magic, or one of the 4 words I just told you, an element word. So for that one, I will be reading House of Earth and Blood, which is Crescent City Book 1 by Sarah J. Maas. And this one I will be doing, my book club is doing a reread of this because I think they read it before the book club started and I did not yet. So thank you to my best friend Jamie, by the way, for getting me this for my birthday this year. And I know they will be doing the read before the end of the year, so that worked out really well for me, so I can count it in the readathon. That is it for the ones that need to be done by next year. So the books, the 7 prompts that I picked 2 from to survive the journey are what I'm going to talk about now. The first prompt is the Novice Path Entrance, which is to read a book with a map. So for this one, I will be reading Kingsbane by Claire Legrand. I went to the library and picked this book up and added it to the TBR specifically for my friend Megan, who is amazing and is one of my favorite YouTubers ever. So you're welcome, Megan. It will probably be like Furyborn, where we both start this book around the same time and she finishes it in like 4 days and I finish it in like 4 months. That sounds more like my speed, but I'm going to try my best to do this buddy read with you. I am very excited to get to this. As I just mentioned briefly, this is the sequel to Furyborn, and Furyborn is about 2 different queens and 2 completely different eras who are very intricately connected. And I know nothing about what the second one is about because I never read the synopsis. But the cover is even more beautiful than the first one, in my opinion, since it's red. The second prompt is Ashtorn Tree, and that is to read a book that is tempting or at the top of your TBR. I mentioned on my last video that I needed to read Between Me, You, and the Honeybees by the end of August, or I would be very ashamed to go back to my library to drop it off and to get it 2 days later because I am in a very small town. And I did in fact do that. Thankfully, it was a different librarian. I don't know if they could tell. Librarians, can you tell that I was the last person that checked this book out and then immediately did it again? maybe don't tell me, don't tell me. But I did it again, and I have to read this book, because could you imagine if I had to do it a third time, if I had to bring this book back and then check it out 3 days later? Like, there's no one else who wants to read this book. Like, the library has it because of me. But I also feel bad because 2 of you commented and said you were getting this book because I told you about it. And now I'm like, what if this is a terrible book? What if I, in my lowly booktuber status, convince 2 people to read a terrible book that I know nothing about? I can't do this. I need to read this book. I need to get it over with. Yeah, it's by Amelia, Diane, Coombs, and I still haven't made the pie recipe, but keep checking back, because at some point I'm bound to either make the pie or read the book. Probably not both, but probably do one of them. The third prompt is The Mist of Solitude, which is to read a standalone book. For this one, I will be reading Love People Use Things by the Minimalist. I'm not excited to read this book, and if I have to DNF this book, I really don't care at this point. Like, that's a lot coming from me. I found this man's Twitter. One of these men, they're the same to me, I don't care. And they were ranting about minimalism, which I guess makes sense because this is a book on minimalism. And I'm not against minimalism because, like, I requested this arc. Thank you. Thank you for the book. And they were ranting, he was ranting, I can't remember the exact verbiage, but essentially mocking people who say that gift giving or gift receiving is their love language, and that it's essentially the same thing as saying pig Latin is a romance language. So I did write him to let him know that I disagree with him very heartily. As someone who has gift giving as my love language, yeah, I didn't. That's like the one thing that I don't agree with when it comes to minimalism. Like, I am all for, if I have 75 stickers and I know I'm not going to use them, I should probably donate some of them. Or if I have a bunch of old notebooks and I never actually use them and they're completely full and I never read anything that's in them, then I should probably get rid of them. But like, if it's something that's sentimental to me, even if it's like an old baseball that Michael gave me when we were just friends and we were walking down the street together, that has sentimental value to me, and I would rather own that than this book. And I also think, if I shouldn't give gifts away, then like, what do I do with this book when I'm done with it? Because if I give someone this book as a gift, then I'm breaking his own viewpoints. So like, do I just trash it when I'm done? I'm gonna probably edit this all out of the video because I'm just being a jerk. But who knows, it's September, I don't know what I'll do. The next prompt is Ruin of the Sky, which is to read a supernatural book. This is the only overlap I have, so I do still have Vespertine here. The next prompt, Obsidian Falls, is to read a thriller or a mystery. So yet again, I have put In the Woods by Tana French, which I have not been able to get my hands on yet. Frankly, I'm not like super needing to get my hands on it because my library has it, and I've heard this book isn't great. So I will be reading this for the Shelf This Book Club. If I can get to it, I'm trying so hard. I couldn't fit The Handmaid's Tale, which I actually finally own here, which was, these are my 2 books I'm working on for that book club, which I have to catch up. So, because I'm going to be a host in this book club eventually, and I feel like I can't ask people to read a book when I haven't read the other books. But I'm gonna try my very best once I get through the arcs and the buddy reads to get to that one, which I did not get it from the library because I have so many library books already. But yeah, I'm hoping to get to that at some point. We're gonna see this book for the very distant future. The second to last prompt is Tower of Rumination, which is to read a book that is a 5-star prediction. And for this one, I will be reading, I am very, very excited to read this. And I'm going to be completely honest, this was a cover request because I don't know what it's about. It kind of gives me I can't remember if it was like Phantom of the Opera, Beauty and the Beast, or some other, not Hades and Persephone. It was one of those like darker retellings, I thought, but it might not, it could be none of those. But it is Lake's Edge by Lyndall Clipstone, and it is a lush gothic fantasy. so I'm already interested. It doesn't say it's a retelling on Goodreads, so I'm not sure what it's about, but I do remember I read the synopsis after seeing the cover and it sounded so interesting. So I'll let you know after I read it if it is as interesting as I thought it was like months ago when I requested it. I'm so excited to read that. Thank you so much to Henry Holt and Company for an arc of that. I'm so excited. And then finally, for the Aurelium Academy arc, that is to read a book with a school setting, and that was incredibly hard to find. It was so hard to find that one and a book with a color, and I feel like I have so many, so I don't know why it was so difficult, but I finally, at last, I've messed something up greatly. I just read you all of my TBRs, but I have another book left. Oh, I changed the mood read. Oh, okay. There's not an overlap. Ignore all of that. For school setting, I will be reading Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. It's beautiful. I'm so excited. So this book is it's either a standalone or book one. I did not want to read this book yet because I was hoping to read Siege and Storm, but again, it was this or Renting a Deadly Education from the library, and my Twitter poll picked this one. So I am very excited to read another Leigh Bardugo book, and I am hoping that this book gives me feels like Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom and does not leave me feeling empty and disappointed like Shadow and Bone, which I'm giving to my brother. So hope you like it better, Noah. But yeah, I don't know anything about this except the character's name is Alex Stern and it is set in a school. My final book is Cress by Marissa Meyer, and this actually is my mood read. I switched this out. I am in the mood to follow along with the read along for the Lunar Chronicles, which are being hosted by some of my friends, and I probably will not be able to keep up because I did not realize it was not one book a month. It's like one book every 2 weeks. So I'm gonna start this as soon as possible, but I mean, I'm already not known for like reading books quickly, so it's fine. Everyone will deal. But I'm very excited. This is a Rapunzel retelling, and it is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles series. And so the first one was about Cinderella, and it was kind of like steampunk and aliens with androids and stuff. It was very interesting, not my vibe, but I really liked it. And the second one was Little Red Riding Hood retelling, which I thought was pretty unique. I don't remember any other ones like that. So this is a Rapunzel retelling. This is the 3rd Rapunzel retelling I will have this year, which is wild because I don't know if I've ever read a Rapunzel retelling. The last one I had to DNF because it was terrible. So I have this one, and then I just got an arc from Disney for their I guess that's not a retelling, it's an actual Rapunzel book. So I'm hoping that I really like this one, and I'm hoping I really like the one from Disney. So we'll see. I will update you guys. I won't read the one from Disney until at least October. It's wild because I started reading this series in 2020 when all of the libraries were closed. So this is the first time I'm actually holding in my hands a Lunar Chronicles book, and I probably will just get the audiobook and like read along, but I'm still very excited. I really can genuinely say that for the majority of these books, minus the Minimalist book and the Simone Elkeles book, I am so hyped. Like so hyped to get to these books, and I'm so hyped to do this readathon. So that's perfect. So it's starting to rain now, so I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you stayed all the way through here, please leave like a cool, your favorite autumn emoji, and also let me know what readathon, if any, you decided to take part in this year. If you're doing the magical one, please tell me what like species you decided to do, because I just think that's so interesting. And then no matter if you did the readathon or not, tell me what you're most excited to read in September, because I hope we are all reading some really nice cozy vibed books. I'm also super curious, since September is kind of like in between summer and autumn, like are you guys reading like cozy reads or like still reading summer reads, or are you just like spooky season, dark academia only vibes? Like what are you feeling in September? I'm so curious. But yes, I hope you have a wonderful weekend or week depending on when I get this posted, and I miss you all and hope to catch up on all of your videos ASAP. Bye.